Everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of my 2020 garden. Bet if you were to ask just about any gardener, if you were to ask them what their favorite vegetable to grow was, I'm guessing about 90% of them would say tomatoes. So today I have a whole tray full of tomatoes that are in need of repotting. And I thought I would bring you along with me. So I'll see you right back here in 20 seconds. As you can see, these tomatoes are all doing pretty well. They've all got their true leaves. They are working on their second set of true leaves, first set. Here's their seed leaves, first true leaves, and their second true leaves coming in here. Now this is interesting because I planted one seed and I got 3 tomatoes out of it. These are all ripe for transplanting. Now this particular variety is called Damsel. It is a hybrid indeterminate variety. And as you can see, I got 100% germination rate. I got pretty good germination rate on all of my tomatoes except these ones. These are determinate tomato called Plum Regal. They are a paste tomato. So I'm going to replant this one. This is the only one I got 50% germination on those. And then this one, you can see this one is way behind the others. And this one isn't looking too good. I'll let it continue, but it's not looking too good. Now, most of these are ready to be transplanted. There's a few, like this one, that it's just got its seed leaves out. So I won't transplant that one. All of these tomatoes are a little leggier than I would like, but tomatoes, it never bothers me to have leggy tomatoes. Like if you look at these, this one here is pretty leggy. But you can bury it up to here and it'll be fine because tomatoes will grow roots from their stem, any stem that's buried in the ground. Now I have a choice to make here. I was going to transplant them into these rose pots, which is where I normally go next, because these don't take up as much room down in my basement. Because it's still cold enough at night, I have to take these tomatoes in at night. So I was going to go to these, but it's really not much deeper than what they're in already. And last year I bought these. See how much deeper they are? And these I bought specifically for my tomato plants. So I think I'm going to put them in here right away. I've got that big batch of potting soil that you saw me mix up. So I'm going to put them in here right away. And let me show you how I do that. So I'm going to take the transplant. I got to do this without dumping the whole thing. There we go. You can see the root system on this. It's just starting to come to the edge. These are definitely ready to be transplanted. You gotta do this with 2 hands. There we go. These will stay in here until I put them in the garden. That's the nice thing about these pots. This one that has extras, I'm going to take off the extras. And I just pinch them off. I want this one to go deeper. Here we go. If you have multiple seeds that have germinated, you don't necessarily have to take one away. I've had really good luck with separating these plants. Now these are sun gold tomatoes. And what I'm going to do, the seed starting mix is just falling apart. So I'm just going to separate them. And then I'm going to fill this up pretty full. And just stick them in there. And they'll be just fine. I've always had really good luck with these. I've never really had like transplant shock or anything. As long as you're very gentle when you pull them apart, they do very well. Sometimes when I'm transplanting, I get these out first. Especially when you're using these bigger containers, the seed starting mix will fall apart. Like if you look at this, it's just falling apart. And in that case, and I'll do it on this one, I just break up the seed starting mix, shake it off, then I take a container, poke a hole in it, and just the roots don't want to go down in there. Stick it in there. And that works just fine. I haven't ever had a problem when I do it like this. They all still seem to grow just fine. So that's pretty much it for transplanting tomatoes. If anybody's wondering for continuity, it is the next day. I ended up doing as much as I could before it was time to go to the dog park yesterday. Went to the dog park, came back, and by the time after I ate supper, I didn't get anything else done. So it was just a matter of bringing everything back inside. So it is the next day. Now, These ones that are kind of small, I mean, there's a difference between this and this. Can you see the difference? I mean, this one is a much more mature plant. This will catch up. One of the things I've learned throughout all my years of gardening is that, now those tomatoes were planted, I put the seeds in the ground on March 20th. Today is April 5th. So what is that? 16 days. And if there are a couple of them here that I replanted. Like this Country Taste one here. This is how far behind that seed is. So I put another seed in there. And then these Plum Regals, I ended up planting seeds in both of there. Because even though they're 15 days behind, eventually throughout the summer, they're going to catch up. I found that 15 days, even 3 weeks, really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's still in the heat of summer when tomatoes love, you know, during June and July when the tomatoes are really growing, the smaller plants tend to catch up, and there becomes a point when you don't recognize whether you put these plants in when they were 6 weeks old or if you put them in when they were 8 weeks old. Eventually they just catch up. So if you haven't started your tomato seeds yet, don't worry about it. Just get them started as soon as you can, and they'll catch up. They'll be fine. I always like to bury mine really deep. You know, I go right up to where the seed leaves are. You can see the seed leaf is actually buried. Right up to where the seed leaves are. And that way you have all of that. Think about that. You're going to have all of this as root, especially because I use these deeper containers. I'm trying to find, this is a regular size container. So I'm going to have that much more root to have when I go in the garden, and then it can grow down further. Now, these particular pots I got from Greenhouse Megastore online, greenhousemegastore.com. This video is not sponsored. I buy all my own products. And they come with trays. You can see how many I have here. They come with these awesome trays that fit them. And they're awesome. I made that investment last year, and I love having the bigger pots. And it saves me a whole step in transplanting. Normally I would go from the small seed starts to the rose pots, which are 2 inch by 2 by 3, I think they are. 2 by 2 by 3. And then go up to these other pots. I decided to skip that step this year. It'll be fine. I'm not too worried about it. Tomatoes are sort of weeds. They really just want to grow. Most plants are like that. Most plants just want to grow. Case in point, I don't know if you remember that dill I had started. It was really leggy. And I was going to just pull it all out. And I decided to try something. I decided to plant it in these bigger pots. And I just buried it way down deep. And it's thriving. I mean, it's grown quite a bit since I put them in here. I thought they would all die. But I have nothing to lose by doing that. I even replanted dill thinking these weren't going to survive, but now that these have survived, because if I look at this dill, this is the dill I replanted, it's really leggy too. And I'm beginning to think it's not my fault, it's the dill's fault. So, and it's the one thing that's making me kind of nervous this year is I don't think we're going to have access to our farmers markets. For instance, my celery is not growing. And I really don't know if I'm going to be able to have celery this year, because I have one celery plant growing and I'm going to end up replanting it tonight. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't know what I did wrong. I have other things that haven't grown, and normally if I really feel strongly about something that I want in my garden, like celery, I can go to the farmer's market. I know there's a gentleman there who always has really good celery, and his plants are beautiful, but he's not going to be there this year. So I'm hoping that the second time is the charm and it works. I think that's it for this episode. This gave you a good idea of how to transplant your tomato seedlings, and just, you don't have to be real gentle with them, but don't like be too rough with them and they'll be fine. You know, tomatoes want to grow, plants want to grow, they're going to grow, and so you don't have to worry about them. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sharon's Home and Garden of transplanting tomato seedlings. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to click on that subscribe button or give me a thumbs up. And until next time, everyone, be well. Happy gardening.